Well, welcome everyone to this Wednesday's Debuffed Gaming News Dispelled EverQuest Next podcast. We'd like to welcome everyone on this evening's podcast. Steelheart, our progenitor and our EQN guild leader, and also another guest, Chip. Welcome, Chip. How are you doing this evening?
Hey.
How you doing, Chip?
I'm doing great, trucking on, whatever. Yeah.
So if you want to introduce yourself real quick, so maybe the EverQuest crowd.
Oh, well, first of all, hello, thank you for having me. I'm Chip on the forums as well as on TeamSpeak. You can usually find me hanging around Final Fantasy. Or, if you just watch me on here, I'm usually on one of these webcasts every week. Gotta show this pretty face to the world,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And so we have a few things to talk about this evening about EverQuest Next, especially about the roundtable and the question that they posed last week, because we covered mostly about their live stream for EQN, but they did still have their questions on their website about the roundtable. And the question that they asked this evening, we'll get right into it, was what is your favorite way to consume lore of EverQuest Next? Now, I know Chip is a big story guy, maybe, being the Final Fantasy player that he is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. For me, when it comes to this type of lore, Final Fantasy has it all. All that good stuff. EverQuest, for me, it's going to be the same deal. You have fans of, people who have played it from the first to wherever, up to now. I mean, look at EverQuest 2. We still have 20, 30 players coming on a raid for 3 times a week. It's not just because it's fun, but it's also they enjoy the story and all that stuff. Now, for me, I digest it. I want to, when the game first comes out, let's say it was, I think, a few years ago when Final Fantasy 12 was coming out. I literally stayed away from all these gaming forums, all that stuff. I literally teased myself with just the official videos that came out by Square. And then when the game comes out, I literally shut off everything and just enjoy it, explore it all. Because it's an experience that you pay for. To me, you deprive yourself of that experience you're paying for if you're just going to go constantly read about this. Let the excitement build up by letting you explore all the stuff that they put in there for you to explore and enjoy.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And so they gave us a few options that we could choose in the poll that they give. And so the first one was you like to consume it outside the game because you'd rather spend time in the game in action, not reading about a story. Or the next one was cutscenes, bring the story to life, and if it doesn't mean sitting around and watching the show, or even if it means sitting around and watching the show. Or you could be in-game lore that can have references later, such as stories inside the game. Or I like the lore to be conveyed to me in real time in the game through quest dialogue and other narration in small pieces while I adventure. So Steel, how do you like to consume your lore, especially when it comes to EverQuest?
Well, I remember going into EverQuest and seeing Kunark for the first time and going to the city of Fiona Vi. And I remember the big statue of her up on the wall and thinking to myself, man, what is this? Why is there a statue of it? And then you get some quests later on. But for me, I'm in a game. I want my lore, my story to be thrown at me while I'm in a game. I'm a busy person. I don't have time to sit and read. I love to read, but I don't have time to sit and read a lot of EverQuest Next books to get lore or surf Google or what have you. I want to go through. I want that experience of seeing, for instance, the ruins and wondering as a player as I'm in here, what used to be here? Why is this? This is a whole giant city that's in ruins. What happened to it? And then maybe stumble across an NPC that gives me a little history or puts me on a quest to find, basically explaining as I'm doing whether it's kill 10 rats or save a princess or or whatever, have some lore thrown at me kind of mixed in as I'm progressing through this quest and discovering more ancient ruins and everything like that. So I definitely like mine in game, but in a mix of cutscenes and in-game lore references, as in visual references, not to mention story, and not to mention imagination. Imagination is a really big thing. If you can get in a game that causes you to imagine what was or what could be, then that company has done something right. And I think EverQuest Next is going to be right along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, and I kind of feel the same way too. It's like I remember part of the fun of EverQuest was just wandering somewhere and wondering, okay, what's this all about, or what is this? And so I don't necessarily like just being told what the story is, like a cut. I mean, I do like cutscenes to some point, but I don't want like a cutscene to explain to me what this is, and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, well, I didn't care about this place, but we saw a cutscene or whatever. But I'd rather be told to me like Half-Life style, like you're in the game, you're never brought out of the game, and everything just happens in front of you. And it seems like that's kind of what EverQuest is going towards, right? With the they have the events in game, and you're participating in them, and you're moving the orcs wherever, and so you're almost creating the story in itself, with whether orcs are going to be here or not tomorrow, or whether the city's going to be here tomorrow or not. And so I'd rather have it right in front of me and participate in it, even though I do like cutscenes and I do like reading and all these other things, and I don't mind them. I'd rather have it right in front of you and participate in it and be part of the story, rather than reading about the story, you know? And I think that's what EverQuest Next is all
Definitely.
about. Yeah. And so, Chip, comparing to your game right now, what would you change about how they convey story in Final Fantasy that you might like to see in EverQuest Next?
Well, I've never played EverQuest because, one, I think the limit, I was too young, and, I think back then it was like pay to play. Well, couldn't convince my parents, say, hey, pay for this game that I'm going to keep playing. It's like, wait, you're already suffering in school. Why are you going to keep paying for games? Forget that, kind of deal.
Well, now you can tell your mom that EverQuest Next is free, so you can...
Oh, that's going to be a trouble, considering how I now pay for my own stuff. I can tell my mom, this is my money now. This is my deal. Please, leave me alone. But the thing that I really like, the thing that really grabs me about some MMOs, they tell some amazing stories. The most amazing ones I've had were playing Ragnarok Online. If none of you have played that game, it's, it looks very cutesy and stuff like that. It came out in like 2000-ish, something like that. But the story was amazing. It really pulled you in. It made you use your imagination to wonder, okay, why did this demigod suddenly become mad and start, killing everything around it, and you're tasked to stop it? Well, the one thing that I really love about games, and I really think EverQuest has this possibility, considering the pool of lore it has, is that it's going to have a deep connection to it. If you play a game that you've played for a long time, like let's say EverQuest, Steele played EverQuest, he probably knows a lot of stuff about the EverQuest that he'd like to see as an Easter egg in the EverQuest Next. Like, oh yeah, I've seen that statue before, kind of deal. You want that kind of connection to the game because it gives the players a feeling of nostalgia. And let me tell you, I've played Final Fantasy over and over and over again just for that feeling of nostalgia again. The feeling of, yeah, I've done that before. Let's kill him again this way, kind of deal. So I think that kind of lore, that deepness, that connection will really connect with every player that plays it, because now new players will be able to explore such a wide, varied world, and old players will come in and say, yeah, I know where that comes from, and you can explain it, and you can look like a total pro. I don't know about you, but I like looking like a total pro. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Come on now.
Yeah, and I totally understand. I can't wait to get in there. I remember when EverQuest 2, and they brought this raid that had Lockjaw. And if anybody played EverQuest 1, and how many times have you killed Lockjaw to get the Lockjaw hide vest or whatever, and try to sell that. But like, how cool is it going to be on EverQuest Next if you run into Lockjaw all of a sudden, when what zone was that? I can't remember. Oasis of Mar, right? Right, Steel?
Oasis of Mar.
Yeah, the Oasis of Mar.
And it's probably not going to be very cool the first time you trip over.
I imagine it would be pretty epic, or be some sort of public quest, or who knows what's gonna happen. But to like have that happen right in front of you, and see maybe Lockjaw is gonna change how things happen right in that zone or whatever, and so everyone has to get together and go kill Lockjaw or something. I'd rather have that and be part of it rather than, okay, we're gonna run into Oasis of Mar and have a cutscene of Lockjaw, and okay, that was your story for Lockjaw. Now go do whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so hopefully we're all part of the story, and we can affect everything. But they also posted yesterday a response to the roundtable question that we talked about 2 weeks ago, about Landmark and whether we should be able to build in public or in private. Now, Chip, would you rather have housing? Because I know you're excited about housing coming up.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah. Would you rather do you like the instance housing, or would you rather be in public with everybody and everyone can see their houses?
Now that poses a really good question, because private housing, it's like, okay, cool. This is for the community, your community. So let's say in EverQuest Next, when you make your house, if it's a private thing, it's basically for grievance only. That's great. That's fantastic. But for me, the public housing offers so much more. If you have a big butt house in the middle of this amazing area, and everyone, big butt house, oh yeah,
yes.
And just passing through, everyone sees it. You see like a grievance flag there. It's like, wow, how come they have that house and I'm stuck with a tiny shack next to the beach? I mean, my beach is cool, but it's still a shack. It's not a mansion. And everyone will be like, that guild has it together. It's basically free advertising.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, come on, we're all progressionists in a sense. Grievance has to be. We want to show off. Exactly. You want to show. Yeah, we may be the most family friendly guild ever, but we still got this mansion going. Yeah. Come on, we got it going on.
We want to have a stake like with a Nagafin's head like sitting right there, like, okay, we killed this dragon sitting up there, like, how cool would that be?
They're all dead.
Yeah,
we got this.
And so they mentioned the majority actually wanted to build in public. 37% were saying that they wanted to build in public, and the devs are saying that's what Landmark's all about, really. It's an MMO. It's a massively multiplayer online game. Why are we gonna make this game if you're gonna go play it off by yourself, right? And so the question is, why do they ask this? Obviously they're building this MMO and then we're gonna build in public. Well, there's been building games, but there's never been MMO building games, right? So we have Minecraft. You can have your server with a few people, but to have thousands of people walking around looking at your buildings and building all in the same world, that's never been done before. And so they just kind of wanted to gauge what the community thought about it. And they were pretty positive about it, right? All of us are looking forward to Landmark. And I know we're all looking forward to having our mansions, and Steel's going to have his castle.
Woohoo!
Yep. But as you were saying, Chip, they mentioned something about, can others destroy your stuff? Because that seemed to be the main worry in the forums was, okay, I'd like to build in public, but can others destroy our stuff? And they basically said it's going to be like how you flag for PvP in most games, where you can flag if you want everybody to be able to mess around with your stuff, or you can flag just you want grievance to be able to build on your land, or you just want certain people in grievance to build on your land. And so then you can just toggle this on and off if you want anybody to affect your plot, or you can just have it so no one can touch it, and so it's always looks exactly how you wanted it to look when you came back to it. And so how do you guys feel about maybe that system of building?
Well, for me, that sounds like a great idea. Now, I don't know about you, but let's say I'm building this amazing house, and suddenly somebody says, no, I'm gonna just kick it over, and just like, someone's like, like I was thinking about this actually, how EverQuest is such an open world kind of deal, where this guy literally, he he basically posts a YouTube video of, you know, somebody building a house, working so hard to get it, and, you know, he sets off like a chain reaction from like a mile away. Like he steps on a trap, and the trap like activates this, you know, this sapling, and the sapling hits a rock, and the rock hits like a landslide, and the landslide just kills the house. And the, you know, you just look at the reaction. The dude's like, you know, kind of deal. Well, that's really great, but the thing that I like about that is, I just thought of it. You know, you build your amazing house, and then, you know, you do like, you flag it as open to say, come on, breach the grievance castle, let's go. And you just have like guards walking around, like player guards. It's like, yeah, come here, chick, crossbow dead. Like, we're all, the castle is falling, go back to the cave, kind of deal. So that'd be really awesome. But at the same time, it's like, you know, if you have some people late night and they, you know, they just want to plant something and, you know, get something going, it's like, okay, go do that. And you have the freedom to do that, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Still?
You know, I don't want people destroying my stuff.
Yeah.
I can see spending hours, or if you're building as a community, spending tens of scores of hours building a giant castle, only to have somebody come by and destroy it while you're sleeping. So definitely for the leave it alone switch. I'm glad they gave it a choice.
Yeah.
I do believe in choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build something monumentous and don't care if somebody comes along and turns it into a slab, more power to you. You know, but that's not me. I don't even see why anybody would want that. Even PvPers, I can't see why they'd want that.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. You're working so hard, and then someone can go.
You can relive the Lord of the Rings scene, you know, when just they're breaching Helm's Deep, and you can just fall back to the keep, and then, you know, you do like your last hand charge, and Gandalf just comes rushing down. It would be awesome.
When you go to fall back, there ain't gonna be a keep behind you because somebody stomped it.
Yeah, someone else is back there.
So, as far as anything that I'm involved in building, the off switch is definitely going to be flipped. Nobody's going to break it.
Yeah, but like you said, it's nice that you're going to be able to build with whoever you want, and you have that choice. And so some people can walk by and see how awesome your castle is, but they can't touch it. And so they mentioned a lot of different reasons why they chose this, and they also mentioned that some wanted private building, like they didn't want anybody to see what they were working on, because obviously there's going to be that store. And so if you're building this awesome tower of awesomeness that you don't want anybody else to see because you want to be able to sell it, you don't want people to watch you build it over the next 10-20 hours or whatever, because then people are going to copy you. And so they said they are looking into having like a private building area within the game so that people can't see what you're building, so that you can keep certain things private.
I can see the reasoning behind that. Yeah. At first I didn't. At first I'm like, well, I think it'd be cool if I walked around the corner and saw the framework going up for a Tower of Awesomeness. It'd be cool because I'd make a mental note, hey, I need to check back on this in a week or two. But and you're right, from the selling point of view, because players are going to be able to sell the stuff they build, I absolutely see that. You don't want everybody knowing your tricks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I will tell you right now, I'm an absolutely vain player. When people copy my look, I get extremely angry because it's like, you know what? I did this first. Stop copying me and go away. Get your own look. So, like, again, I can give an example.
Or you can buy your look.
Yeah, it's like, I literally worked, you know, in Final Fantasy, I worked to get my paint job perfect. I literally spent like 2 hours getting the perfect color for my robe. And then 5 minutes later, a guildie comes by and says, that looks cool. Let me get those dyes out of the bank and let me use it. And I'm like, I just turned around, went back to the boards, and got a new dye because I couldn't. No.
Who was that, Chip? Who was it?
It was Shadow. Shadow. He copied my black and white mage look, but you know, if you can buy You can virtually buy an invisibility cloak for your freaking building, and then one day just pull off the reveal
Invisibility
and say, "Boom, I got this. I was
Yeah.
the first one on the server. This is my look. Anyone else who copies it comes from me." Psh, all for it. Good job, EverQuest Next, or no, Sony Online Entertainment for getting a market.
Yeah.
Because I would buy it.
Yeah.
So.
And they mentioned that the public building obviously is going to be at launch because that's what this game's all about, is public building, but they're not sure if the private building part of the game is going to make it at launch, but it's definitely something they're working on to make sure that they can get in so that you can build in private and not have anybody see what you're working on. And so we only got a chance last week to talk about their live stream, about half of it, because there was a lot they talked about live stream and what they're planning to do with it, and they mostly talked about roundtable, and they mentioned that the roundtables have changed since they started because of feedback that they've gotten, and so they started doing this not knowing exactly what they were going with, but first it was just, okay, we have these questions we want people to answer, but the real reason they're going for these is they want us to get into the forums. Now, why would they want us to get in the forums? Well, obviously when you choose those different bullet points, that's very broad, right? You can say, oh, I want this one or I want this one, but is that specifically what you want, or is that just you're picking a choice? And as they said, go to the forums and say, no, I don't want this, I want that, or I'd like a mix of these two choices that you've given us, and specifically this, and I specifically like that. And so how do you feel about this communication that they're having with us on Roundtable and encouraging us to go in the forums because they are listening?
I think it's good. I think, for instance, we'll go back up to the last question, favorite way to consume the lore in EverQuest. Well, nowhere in there does it explain what I talked about earlier, walking around and seeing a ruin and the emotions that conveys. So it's really good in that aspect that you can put that out there and explain to them, yes, I voted this way because it's pretty much the closest to what I'm personally looking for, and then you put your experiences and what you're looking for. So it gives them a little insight into why you voted the way you did.
Yeah, exactly. And the example they gave was, do you remember the one they talked about, would you want modern things like guns and ninjas inside of EverQuest Next? Well, obviously they put that out there, but they said some of the answers they got back, people were kind of confused about what they were asking. And so some people thought, well, you're talking about automatic rifles and they're going to have rocket launchers and this and that, like in EverQuest. And they're like, of course I don't want this. But then in the forums they mentioned, well, if it was just like muskets or something that kind of fit EverQuest, well, then I'd like that. And so they got to see personal views on it and how to be specific about it, because, well, that question people were confused about, and then all of a sudden they saw it in the forums and they realized that later on they need to ask a better question, right, about whether you want specific this kind of gun or this kind of gun or this kind of ninja or whatever. And so
Definitely.
yeah, and so really we see the benefit of using the forums so that they can hear us.
Well, it's not about that. It's about, when pushing a game like this, it's, the people think, people buying it. The general consensus around now is, I've been playing MMOs for a long time. I know there's so many times where I felt the MMOs got my money. They're not listening to me anymore. Well, this is a chance for, EverQuest to say, look, we are listening to you. We need the input because we're the creators, but just because it's good to us doesn't mean it's going to be good to you. Now, I mean, let's face it. If you have a rocket launcher in EverQuest, this isn't EverQuest anymore. It's totally different. So they want this input from you so they understand, because they're really catering to us, the players, the people who want to play this game. They're not catering to themselves. okay, they're gonna pay the $15, whatever, or no, actually, no, it's free. They're gonna spend all this time on it, and then it's not even something they want. No, that's why they said the forum thing. They want you to go in there. They want you to share your views. They want to understand what you're looking for in this, because they don't see this as just a one and done deal. This is an investment for them.
Yeah.
This is something they want to see keep going. It's a business decision.
Yeah.
If you don't listen to your players, they will abandon it faster than you think.
Yeah, and
AKA Star Wars. Just saying.
and they did mention they were saying that a lot of people didn't want. They're like, well, guns in EverQuest and ninjas, like, okay, no, this doesn't belong in EverQuest. And then with their communication with someone, they're like, well, what if it was like this, or what if it was like this? What if it fit EverQuest in this way? And a lot of people that said specifically no on the question were like, well, if it was that way, yeah, definitely, I'd take it that way. And so it's really good to have that back and forth communication with the devs, because something else might come out of it that the devs never thought about, that we never thought about, that could please everybody and be something different. And they mentioned, though, that's specifically about EverQuest Next. Now in Landmark is a free-for-all, whatever we want kind of thing. They said Landmark is about bringing your imagination to reality. So could there be automatic rifles and rocket launchers, and who knows? They said
hopefully not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about, right? That's what Landmark's all about. There's gonna be that continent that's EverQuest, but then people are gonna have their continents and build whatever they want. If you start building a future castle or something, then you're gonna have a future castle. But we really don't know the possibilities of it. And I think it was Dave Georgeson earlier this week. He was tweeting out that he can't wait for us to see what Landmark's all about, because we really have no idea what the possibilities are in this game, because we keep thinking, oh, like, this is a nice Minecraft thing. But he said they just cannot wait to show us more, because they we have like the blinders on, like, this is what we expect, but they're saying this is beyond anything that we can even imagine. But we have to wait and see, right?
Though, I'm torn on some things about it, though. I would rather it keep a medieval flair to it, or a fantasy theme to it. I don't want to be in Landmark and look at the top of the mountain, and see a giant replica of the USS Enterprise. I don't want to see that in my game.
See, but that's the thing, though, is we get to choose what continent we're on. And so if we're on the medieval EverQuest Next, keep that theme kind of continent, then that's all we'll see. But then just
how do
like...
you enforce that?
Yeah, but then what stops the USS Enterprise from, putting on its boosters and moving over to the medieval say, this is our land now. You want some of this? Psst, psst, psst. Oh, look, everyone's dead.
See, but like, part of me likes that, because it's like, okay, like you mentioned choice, Steel, how, okay, we're gonna have this continent and it's limited to this. The Enterprise isn't gonna be able to fly over here, or you're not gonna see an X-wing coming in and flying in, but it's just gonna be your medieval whatever. But if people want to be creative and use this tool like Minecraft to build an Enterprise or whatever, well, you go on their server or their specific continent and go look at future Star Trek, Star Wars land or whatever, and see what they're building. But to have these different continents that people could just do whatever they want.
Now, that brings up a good point. Now, let's take, for example, a real-life example. Helicopters were really designed not in 1900s. It was designed by Leonardo da Vinci in 1100. If it goes in a medieval thing and somebody says, look, I'm in a medieval thing, I have a whirligig or whatever it was called, he called it, it's like, wow, you're using your imagination to really make it fit. Now let's go further. Let's say somebody makes a, it doesn't fly, but it's literally a rolling Trojan horse shaped in the X-wing, and it shoots out spears instead of lasers. That's pretty cool. If somebody can pull that off, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's still pushing it. I want to see sci-fi in my fantasy.
Yeah, but I mean,
On my continent, I don't want the Enterprise.
yeah. But I think that's what Landmark's all about, because we're gonna get EverQuest and we're gonna be able to build separately in that, and that's gonna fit EverQuest, and it's only gonna be EverQuest, and it's only
True.
gonna be that. But Landmark is like this tool of whatever you want.
Yeah, we don't really know what we're going to be able to do in EverQuest Next.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta almost think of it as two different games, which is mind blowing to begin with,
Yeah.
or mind numbing, however you want to look at it. But EverQuest Next is not necessarily going to be what you have in EverQuest Landmark.
Yeah. Exactly. Two different games coming out 2 different times, and 2 different goals. EverQuest Next gonna be your warriors and your fighting and your Norath, but EverQuest Landmark is pretty much whatever we want it to be.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what building, if any, is going to be in EverQuest Next, or what makes it from Landmark to EverQuest Next, or if there's a process, a voting process or something. I mean, I'm really curious to see how they link together.
Yeah, we'll say, yeah, we'll definitely see that. Oh, there's Chip with his landline again.
It's an emergency landline. I don't know. Oh, well, I can abandon that, I guess. All right, let's.
Not such an emergency.
It's not.
It's only the president. You better answer it.
Oh, me and him talk all the time.
Yeah, of course. Well, they said that even though the roundtable questions have passed and they've given their opinion on it, or what the community thinks, you notice you could still vote on them. So most of these roundtable questions are still open, and they're still open to hearing any ideas that people want, until they specifically say, okay, this one's closed off. We have a firm decision on this, and we're not going to talk about this subject anymore. But for the most part, all of them are still open. So if you have any ideas or any thoughts on any of the questions, on roundtable questions that they have put out, they said you can go on the forums, and they said the best way is go on Twitter. So if you have a tech question, tweet the tech developer, or if you have an art question, tweet the art dev. Whatever you want, or whatever you think they should know, you can reach them whatever way you think possible. And so they did mention that their live streams on Wednesday. Right now they're not every week, but they're eventually going to start being every week once they get closer to launch and get closer with more information, because they said it's coming in winter, and winter is coming, which everyone likes to keep saying, because they said winter is coming for us. And so they mentioned there's going to be different topics, not all about roundtable, but they said in future live streams we can expect to see the game, which I think that's all we want, right? We all want to see the game.
I want to get in the game.
Yeah, I want to get in the. And they said that's the most asked question. Okay, when's beta? Let us know when beta is. And they said on the live stream they'll announce when beta is. But they said
can't be too far away.
Hopefully not, right? Right. So we'll see. So any last thoughts on how they communicate with us through these live streams and the roundtables? And
that's a great job. I mean, if you keep your community involved, you need to make sure that they're happy. And if people are happy, people are going to buy the game. So that just equals dollar signs for everybody. So keep it up, guys. Can't wait to see what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with Chip. They're really going out of their way to communicate with the player base. I know in the past, after EverQuest 1, Sony really didn't communicate a whole lot with the community. It started somewhere after Kunark, and then they kind of closed themselves a little bit. So I'm really glad to see that they're making a solid effort in getting with the player base, seeing how the player base feels about stuff. You know, like we've said in other casts, they've got their core mechanics, and those aren't going to change for the most part, at least in Landmark. You know, but they've got their ideas how they want to build their game. But stuff like this, I mean, that's great that they're coming to the community and saying, hey, what do you think of this? What do you want here? You know, so it goes a long way, at least with me personally, and I imagine it goes a long way with the rest of the community as well.
Yeah, it definitely does, because we hope they listen a little bit to make the game we want, so that they don't have to shut it down and make EverQuest Next a Realm Reborn, right?
Ouch.
Right, Chip? Right?
I mean, this is in Sony's eyes. This is a business investment. You're not going to invest something and then look away from it and then come back to it a year later, right?
Mhm.
No, you keep slow tabs on it. You make sure, okay, this is doing well. Let's keep going. Now, if you keep the community involved like this, people will want to play the game. There is no point in publishing a game when you're just going to say, oh, after we're done publishing it, we're not gonna care anymore. We got our money, we got ours. Because then they won't trust you anymore. They won't buy any more of your games, and nobody wins then. You don't get the game you want to play, they don't get the money. Simple as that.
Yeah. So now we just have to see how they're going to make money with this, right?
Definitely.
It's free to play, but what are they going to charge us?
Invisibility cloak. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
invisibility.
people will buy it.
Yeah.
Start stocking up on your station cash.
Yeah, there we go. So we can build whatever you want.
That's right.
Okay. Well, that's all we have to talk about this evening as far as EverQuest Next goes. We want to thank everyone for tuning in, for watching, for chatting. And we just want to let everyone know, though, we're just starting all these cast up here with Grievance on our Twitch channel, posting on YouTube. But we want to know what everyone thinks. What can we work on? We want your honest opinion. And so we have a survey up. You can go to that link. And I believe Shavasta has been posting the link in the chat, or she will post the link in the chat. But you can go to that link and give us your opinion. We welcome your feedback. We want to know what you want to see, what you want to watch, or what can we work on with our cast, because we like doing this. We enjoy doing this, and we want to be. We're part of the community within Grievance, and we enjoy anyone who wants to let us know what they'd like to hear. And so if you go there, just let us know what you think. And so we want to thank everyone once again. Steel,
Thanks
thanks for coming on here. Chip, thanks
Of
for all your animated opinions and thoughts, and sorry for all the Final Fantasy jokes.
That's okay.
But it's a great game too, and we love it. Okay, and so from Dashiva, here everybody at Debuffed Gaming News and Grievance, we want to thank you, and you guys have a good night. And just as way of reminders, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Grievance Gaming, or follow me at Dashiva. Go to our YouTube channel, follow us, subscribe, watch all our videos, whether it's rating videos or casts like these, and go to Facebook. We're at World of Grievance, and you can look us up, so give us a like. So thank you again, and everyone have a good night.
Have a good night.